In this video, we get to look at how we can create and name tables in Excel from the discussion video. We talked about how tables were a really powerful automation tool. So what do we mean by that? Well, we've just spent quite a lot of time helping Zara to create a lot of calculations and name ranges to make it easier to work with this data. But imagine that somebody with maybe a little less skill had to add a new record at the bottom of the data. They would need to make sure they'd copied those formulas down correctly, added the data validation, added the conditional formatting, and updated all the named ranges. That's a big ask. It's going to take a while, and most importantly, they may not have the skill to do it correctly. So automating this process becomes very important to businesses. And it does become very easy. All they have to do is use a table. Now, not all data lends itself to be converted to a table. We're looking for databases of data like this, organized into columns where they store one type of information, and where each row represents a record about one person or one thing. No blank rows, no blank columns, but blank cells are fine. And ideally, the data is not touching anything else. If that's the case, creating a table is very easy. We just click somewhere in the data, we come up to our Insert tab, and we click Table. It double checks that this is the range you have intended. And if you followed all the guidelines that we stipulated, that will be correct. If it isn't correct, you can always go and select the right range. And my table does have headers, so I'm just going to say OK. Now, quite a few things have happened. We've got some great formatting, auto-filter buttons being added to the top of each column, and perhaps more subtle, a brand new ribbon tab has appeared called Table Design, or in other versions of Excel, Table Tools Design. Now, if I click outside of the table, you'll see I don't have that ribbon tab. And when I click back in, it reappears. So please make sure when you are working in the table that you've clicked inside it. Now, coming up to the Table Design ribbon on the left-hand side, you can see the table has automatically been given a name. Table 1's not a great name. So one of the first things I'd suggest is you replace this. And I'm going to call this TBL_supply. The same rules apply for table names as for named ranges. The TBL is not required at all, but it actually makes it much easier to distinguish our tables from our named ranges, and to find them quickly in the autocomplete. So it's just a recommendation. Once you finish typing, you can just click away or press enter, and there's your table appropriately named. Let's have a look at that again. So I'm going to come to the MC invoice report. And we're going to turn this into a table as well. Click somewhere in the data, come to Table, but this time I'm going to hover for a moment, and you'll see the keyboard shortcut is Ctrl-T. Next time we'll use that one. I'm going to click Table, and then I can just press Enter, and my table has been added. Now, what if I needed to remove this table for some reason? Let's just say we don't want it anymore. Well, that's easy to do. But before you do, you need to decide if you want to keep the formatting. Because when you remove the table, the formatting will not automatically be removed. So to remove the formatting, we come to our table styles, and just choose light, which has put it back to how it was before we added the table. And then to remove the table, we click Convert to Range. It double checks. It's fine. Removing the table will not impact the workbook or formulas in any way. So we can just press Enter, and now we're back to what's called a regular range. We do, however, actually want the table, so let's create it again. But this time I'll use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-T and Enter. Now we do not want to call it Table 3. So I'm going to come up here and call this TBL_MC and then Enter. So far, we have looked at how to create a table, we name the table, and we remove the table. In the next video, we can have a bit more fun making our tables look good.